Let me introduce you to the reMarkable team. I'll have them introduce themselves.
So my name is Tine Engberg. I work at reMarkable as the product owner for Salesforce.
My name is Peter Stoltz. I'm head of CIO Office at reMarkable. So I work a lot with partnerships with the likes of Salesforce.
Excellent. Tell me a little bit about reMarkable for folks that are not familiar with the company that's been living in a cave for the last few years.
First of all, it's a tech company, Norwegian tech company. We are trying to challenge kind of the techy way that we are heading with everything being technical, going back to kind of the basic of pen and paper, introducing then a new product to the market where you can use more time thinking, working without all of the distractions, than introducing paper tablets to the market.
It's a very cool product. I am a user, mainly because I can't ever read any handwriting that I've ever done in my entire life, right? So it's definitely saved me in some note taking. So I'm a fan of the company. Tell me a little bit about, where you guys are today in your agentic journey, and then we're going to go through the history.
We are a bit over 1 year fully in. We have introduced both an external agent, but also a couple of internal agents.
What was your first use case? What was your first agent that you guys wanted to bring live?
We are a company that has scaled quite fast, and we have quite a lot of seasonality in when do we get a lot of customer requests. And to be able to handle that in an efficient way, we knew we needed to do something to be able to allow our customers to get support 24/7, and also to be able to handle the peaks in an efficient way. We initially started doing some pilots with several bot products, but we didn't really see the results that we were looking for. And then when Agentforce was introduced, we saw that here was an opportunity to do something where we would have natural language and we could help the customers in a very natural and intuitive way. So the first use case was basically supporting customers through FAQ-based responses towards our customers on our website.
And before Agentforce, did you just have regular web pages with FAQs?
It was people and basically knowledge articles on our based on Experience Cloud. Yeah.
When you were doing the, initial business proposal, what did you hope to get out of this?
Initially, we started a pilot. So it was very much, let's just try it out and see what happens. Quite limited effort considering the outcome. So we didn't really define any specific KPIs that we wanted to fulfill.
In general, I also think that kind of the interest of AI and also wanting to kind of maximize how we did customer service at that time, instead of replacing anyone human, it was just helping kind of reducing support costs while we also increased the way we could also serve our customers and directly then improve their customer satisfaction as well.
Talk to the audience about some of the challenges initially that you had around the build. I know it might be painful for you to go back in that time versus where the product is today, but as someone that was also implementing at that time, I'm really interested in some of the challenges that reMarkable had initially with the product.
I think in general for reMarkable, with starting and introducing AI, the expectations towards AI in general, Agentforce, was so high.
Yeah.
But at the meantime, also a bit afraid for what it would actually mean to open up for AI to handle our customers instead of having that control in a human way. So going into that, I think everyone was really positive towards it, but also a bit afraid, as mentioned. And I think from the beginning, even though we got a lot of help from Salesforce and they supported us with everything and the setup, and we were kind of sitting in the driver's seat, absolutely, but we were also involved in the details and maybe holding a bit back. We set up a lot of guardrails, being afraid to let too much out of the data and the FAQs and the knowledge articles that we use kind of to feed our agent. So I also think in the beginning that with the high expectations that we were also kind of expecting more, but understanding also more about why the results were as it was. And that also was something concrete that we can learn from and also build upon. So in general, I think it began in a good way, but also we were holding back a bit.
Question, do you name your agent? Does it have a name?
Yes.
What's the name?
Our external is called Mark.
When did the light come on where you're like, oh, wow, if we could just lean in and do X, like we could really, 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 be transformative?
I think the first 6 months we used on learning,
Okay.
iterating, going
Mhm.
back and forth. We thought that the articles was good enough as they were, but then while using AI, we also understood that AI is not reading them as we do. We began kind of changing and adjusting article by article, case by case, feeding information based on single questions that we understood that they or more couldn't respond to.
We have had these knowledge articles for years and years, but now that we apply them in this context, we have statistics on how well they perform. Because now we can all of a sudden start seeing, but this information is available to the agent, but it wasn't able to respond to a certain request. Well, why is that? Is that because we talk about the same thing several times in different contexts for different products without talking about that? Or is it because we forgot to mention something? Because that happens too. So I actually think that the interesting bit as well is that AI enabled us in a very intuitive way to see, well, this didn't work. And then we start analyzing why didn't it work. Whereas the old-fashioned way that we use the knowledge articles, customers would be offered to read them, but we all know that not a lot do. Now that the agent has to use the knowledge articles for learning new things, well, then it becomes very obvious what works and what doesn't.
This is also something that is helpful when going in and looking through an FAQ and trying to find the information that you need. And also version control, that we also saw that AI is just finding the first best thing. And we then, with that, saw that we had a lot of articles about the same thing, maybe not saying the same thing.
Right. Similar articles, different answers for the same problem.
Yeah.
And AI will definitely expose that. So it's a really good story of, look, it wasn't this huge, we're going to go off and we're going to fix all of our data day one and every knowledge article is going to be perfect. It's actually using Agentforce as a tool to help improve your overall quality of documentation and therefore service.
Approaching 6 till 9 months, I think we also started to then have learned enough to also start to trust Agentforce more. So at that point, we also started to adjust the guardrails that we had. Started opening up for more. We could start with customer identification, actually trusting the agent, but also enabling it to actually give a more personalized experience. And also when we introduced OMS, Order Management System, it could actually give the agent information to respond to information regarding orders, tracking.
Curious, do you have customer sat scores?
We see that kind of the collaboration between then having an agent and having actual humans responding and helping the customer is increasing in the satisfaction overall, because then you have then a quick way to use the agent to respond to the easy questions, and then the customer care team, the humans, can actually use time on helping on the bigger cases that requires a human to
More difficult cases
difficult. Yes,
involved
thank you.
cases. I get it. So if we go back to the early days versus now, when you're integrating to other systems, and whether it's authentication and or your order management system, those are heavy integrations. You're now trusting an agent to do that. Was there any pain along the way for that experience?
I was first of all deciding on using Agentforce as the AI tool that we decided using was also because it's a part of the platform that we're already using.
Got it.
So to build that upon the data that we're having, the workflows that we already have, integrating with the OMS, which is also Salesforce, using the customer data that is in Salesforce, that also reduced that risk. So since everything is in the same platform, we haven't seen the biggest issues with that. I guess during that period, the biggest issues that we have had is, which is also a great thing, that it's a lot of updates coming from Salesforce on Agentforce. Since Agentforce is new, innovative, a lot of cool things coming, but that also requires a lot on the receiving end.
I definitely saw the same thing in my experience. How has the company kept up?
Like from my team, at least, and the concerns that we were feeling in the beginning with this being so new. We launched the first pilot, as Peter mentioned, after just a month or so. Everything went so quick, and from then we just continued to kind of grow Agentforce, and something new happened every single week, and it was a lot of back and forth and a lot of learning. So I think naturally now, after a year plus, we are in a place where we, one, are used to it. We are not that afraid when anything stops working or there's an error of some kind, because we know also that we can solve it, and that we know that we also have Salesforce on and just a call away to help as well if there's anything we can't fix internally.
So initially it was really tough, generally just on resource, and I think now we're moving more into a position where it's becoming more a part of what we do. And it's kind of when we do new capabilities towards customer support and towards customers in general, of course, Agentforce is included in that work. So now it's not like we have development work like in the past, and then afterwards we see how can we integrate that with Agentforce. Now it's part of the process.
Number one, three of us know people starting today have an unfair advantage because the product is a lot more mature. Agentforce is a lot more mature than when you started. Documentation's a lot greater. What is one thing you would want people to know, to lessons learned, to avoid?
The most important thing when you start this is define a scope that is small enough to do it fast, to get something out there to try out. Because the learnings that you get during a pilot phase is really, really valuable. And without that understanding of how the technology works and what it can do for you, it's really difficult to build any further. It takes too long time until you start seeing any learnings. It's much better to just minimize scope, get it out fast, get feedback fast, continue from there.
We say two things. One, if you're setting up too many guardrails, you will see that it's actually holding you back from reaching the goals and the targets that you have set and what you can accomplish using Agentforce. The second, I would say test. Building on what Peter said, do small iterations, test it out, take it back if it didn't work as you were hoping, and then try again. But also, the last thing, just to kind of celebrate the small wins as well.
Love the boldness of the story. The culture completely leaned into the technology, and now you're looking at truly centering around being an agentic enterprise with Agentforce, and that's amazing to hear.